Dead Space 2023 is a remake to the survival horror game classic from 2008 of the same name. The story follows Isaac Clarke and a small skeleton crew that are sent to repair the comms and check to see if everyone's alright on a ship named the USG Ishimura. When, of course, they stumble upon a terrifying threat that none of them were prepared for, Isaac, using his engineering background, has to be incredibly resourceful going through these tight corridors and trying to just escape with the rest of the crew. Now, I've been a big fan of the Dead Space series since 2011 with the release of the second game. It was the first one that I played personally, and to this day still remains as one of my all-time favorite horror titles. So, a couple years back, when they announced that Dead Space was getting a Resident Evil 2-esque remake, I was both very happy but very concerned as well. With Visceral Games no longer helming the series, I was concerned that the new series developers just wouldn't really understand the almost claustrophobic feel that the games have always had. And after beating the game twice, I can honestly say that they absolutely nailed it. Dead Space is an awesome game. It delivers on nearly every single solitary aspect it should have. It's claustrophobic. The sound design is gorgeous. The gameplay is just as excellent as it was in the originals. And most importantly, the Necromorphs and Isaac and the Ishimura get a whole beautiful remake. They look gorgeous, the suits look gorgeous, the Necromorphs are terrifying, and the Ishimura looks like a living ship that is just going through it at the moment.
Where is everybody? Half the ship must have heard that landing.
Be proud, Chen. You gotta see her one piece.
Johnson might disagree. What? You're off in about the first round then.
I would have meant something to steady my nerves, especially on CEC's tab.
Now, the story in the remake is very similar to that of the original. The only difference is the characters featured in it are more fleshed out, and they end up adding some extra ones along the way. They end up diving deeper into the lore of the Marker and the Necromorphs, and also into Nicole Brennan's backstory and Isaac's. They both are united for one purpose, and end up being one of the main driving forces for their actions. It's extremely believable, it's really solid, and overall, the story itself is just, it's a very claustrophobic experience. You want to get these characters out of here, you want to see them get out safe, you want Isaac to find Nicole, and you just want all of this to end. And by the end of the game, it just comes to the point where it seems like all hope is lost. It is a very, very simple story that absolutely nails it out of the park, giving Isaac a proper voice by Gunnar Wright, the original voice actor of the games. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal performance. I loved him so much. This is easily one of his best performances as Isaac. He's extremely likable, and overall it's just an excellent story. Hammond and Daniels also get a makeover as well, both visually and in the voice acting department. They're a little bit more than the one-dimensional counterparts that they were in the original. Hammond in the original is a little bit more of a military man, like gotta get shit done kind of thing. And Daniels is more like on the cautious side. But in this one, they actually start asking questions. Hammond starts questioning the entire operation, and Daniels starts questioning whether or not Hammond is actually as trustworthy as he seems. Now, one of the greatest aspects the remake adds to the original is that of side missions. These side missions, they're very, very small, they're nothing too complex, but they end up giving you extra items to help you along the way. One of them is able to give you maximum security clearance, which there are several locations in different parts of the map that have security clearances. And as you go through the story, you upgrade your security clearance level so you can go back to these areas, find schematics, find ammo, health, money, whatever. These bonus items and these rooms are extremely rewarding. And not only that, but these side missions also expand on the lore of both the Ishimura, Nicole Brennan, Unitology, and all the stuff that they start implementing in the game. And it is so, so good. It is such a welcome change and ends up breathing more life into the Ishimura. It wasn't just a classic planet cracker. It was a living, breathing ship. There are hydroponics where you see the crops being grown for the crew. There's the mining, of course, where you actually do the real work. Then you have the crew quarters where, of course, the crew resided in. and it ends up being a fun mishmash of different themed areas that you go through that make it actually really interesting and not like you're just staring at the same environment the entire playthrough of the game. So combine all these elements together and you end up getting a story that feels really tight-knit. It isn't anything special, it doesn't have to be extremely convoluted, it is just super simple. Simplicity is key, because you're not really entirely there for the story in Dead Space. You're really there to kill some necromorphs.
Quarantine activated.
Now, the gameplay in Dead Space is extremely good. The best thing about Dead Space is that it puts your entire HUD on screen on your character's back as opposed to being on the borders of your screen. It is so inventive and makes it feel really, really immersive. You have several ways to dispatch of necromorphs using Isaac's ingenuity. He has, of course, an arsenal of weapons that all of them are very, very good. Or, if you're in a tight pinch, you have things like stasis, where you can slow things down in front of you if you're about to get attacked or you're swarmed. And then you also have kinesis, which is basically just you using the force to project items at enemies to damage them. And the best thing about Dead Space is that you might not have any ammo at all, but you are not entirely out of the fight. The necromorphs have basically pincers, blades, and all that attached to them. And as long as you break those off, you can use those items as weapons, and they are just as useful as the actual arsenal Isaac carries. There's always different ways to get out of a situation, and by the time you're out of that situation, say you're in a very tight pinch, and you end up using kinesis and stasis to get out of it, it feels incredibly rewarding. And I can't stress that enough. Like, the gameplay is absolutely nailed out of the park. It is taking stuff from the original and just improving it just a little bit more. One of the biggest things that I really like is that the world feels like it has a lot more weight to it. In the original games, when you use kinesis on an item, it feels very light and it comes towards your hand instantly. Where in this game, there's actually a slight, small little millisecond delay that you almost feel the heft of the object when you grab it. I was a huge fan of that, and it was just overall an excellent experience in the gameplay department, honestly. When it came to scoring this game, I was sitting down before I started recording and was trying to think of reasons for me not to give this game a 10. And it's really, really tough to, because this game really nails every aspect out of the park. If anything, the small nitpicks would basically be there were maybe some textures towards the early game that didn't really render completely, or maybe I tried to use something with kinesis and it ended up just not coming towards me the first time and I had to do it a couple times. Other than that, there's really nothing else. The game is a really, really, really solid product. The game runs great, looks great, feels great, sounds great. So overall, I'm gonna give the game a 10. And I think with this game and the Resident Evil 4 remake, and of course the Silent Hill 2 remake coming out towards the end of the year, I genuinely think this is going to be one of the strongest years for gaming in a very long time, horror gaming at least. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it has been a very, very long time since we put out any TGB content, and I'm gonna try and make more. I do want to keep doing this, so I just want to thank everyone who did stick around and watch this video or any of our other videos as the time has gone on. So thank you again. I do greatly appreciate it, and I hope that you guys stick around for any future content we put out.